Hi everyone. I'm so excited to talk to you today. My name is Leah Marcus and I'm a mom. I am a wife. I used to work as a therapist in community mental health, a counselor and art therapist, and now I'm a consultant and trainer in something called the Nurtured Heart Approach, which I'm going to share a little bit about today. But first, a little bit of background in terms of relationships, since this is a relationship-focused event. I have been with my husband for about 13 years this year, and we've been married for, it'll be 10 years this year. So we've tried a lot of different things to connect and finding different frameworks, because in some ways we're really similar, in other ways we're super different. So whether that has been the introvert-extrovert kind of spectrum, or Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, or Dr. Gary Chapman's love languages. I still have a soft spot for that one. I find it helpful. All of these have served a purpose in my relationship with my husband. But what my work as a counselor led me to at one point was the Nurtured Heart Approach, which really it's a methodology. It's a lot of different things, but in some ways it is just more of a way of life. It really changed kind of all of how I approached every role that I have, whether that was, in my work or in my parenting, or as a wife, as a daughter. And so I'm really excited to share it with you. And so another thing about my relationship with my husband is that we were in a long distance relationship for the first year and a half of our relationship. So we had to try a whole bunch of different things just to make sure our communication was going to help us through that distance. And these days with the quarantine, we're a very short distance relationship right now. We're using a similar set of tools as the long distance one, but just coming from the other direction. Lots of contact, lots of time together. And yeah, we're just kind of managing that. So, the Nurtured Heart Approach. I kind of think of my life as being broken up into like before Nurtured Heart and after Nurtured Heart. It was that big of a deal when I learned it, and I wasn't expecting it. I went to a one-day training, and then that was like, it was mind-blowing for me. And then tried it in my practice, and then I was like, I need to go deeper. And so since then I've had several of the 5-day training intensives that they do, and it's just like the most nourishing, beautiful community. So I channel that a lot these days. Nurtured Heart came out of the work of a therapist named Howard Glasser, who spent his work noticing that a lot of the techniques that were taught for helping families, helping kids, work okay for kind of the more typical client. And when it comes to like really intense kids, the kids who are going to have a lot of diagnoses, a lot of letters attached to their, a lot of acronyms attached to their case, a lot of those techniques would kind of backfire or make things worse. And so he didn't really develop Nurtured Heart as much as he almost kind of intuited it. He kind of discovered that there was a kind of energetic undercurrent that was really running the show. And when I say energetic, I mean kind of when you walk into a room, you can kind of sense the energy. If there's a lot of tension there, or if there's a lot of excitement, like, I'm not used to these. But you can sense that. And that is an ingredient. That's part of kind of the nonverbals that is a big part of communication in general. So as I said, this originally emerged as something really helpful for intense children. But since then, it has really broadened to not just intense kids, but all children. And then, the whole classroom, the whole school, Head Start programs, juvenile detention, substance abuse treatment, workplaces, and all kinds of stuff, therapy practices, and romantic relationships. There's a book specifically about that, actually, called Relationship Reset. So it's just really broadened things, and it's been fun to play around with how I say it's been fun to play around with. What I'm going to rephrase that and say that it has been kind of key to my survival right now is knowing this and really paying attention to what I give my energy to. So in terms of specifics, Nurtured Heart is made up of 3 stands, 3 kind of commitments that people make. The first being absolutely no, the second is absolutely yes, and the third is absolutely clear, which is probably absolutely unclear at this point. But stand 1, absolutely no, means basically I refuse to just leak or give my essence, my relationship, my focus, my attention to negativity. Does that mean we just put our head in the sand and pretend that nothing bad is ever happening? No. But, there are ways that we really give ourselves to things that just deplete us and they don't build us up. In parenting, it would be giving all kinds of, showing up really big and really vibrantly and really with a lot of intention to the behaviors that we don't actually want to see more of. So then we're kind of watering the weeds. But same applies to really any relationship we have. So stand 2, absolutely yes. So if we're not giving energy to negativity, instead we're rechanneling that same energy. We're not spending additional energy. We're rerouting how our energy is spent, because it's like such a critical resource right now, isn't it? We're channeling that into the positive, meaning, again, this is not false positive. This is not just toxic positivity, spiritual bypass. We're not like, la, la, la. We're saying, you know what? This is real. And I'm not going to give myself to this entirely and have nothing left. And so instead, I'm going to just commit relentlessly to finding the gratitude, focus on something that's going right, something that maybe isn't going as wrong as it could. And then absolutely clear is basically boundaries and clarity about rules in parenting, but also our personal rules, our values. What are our values? Where is our yes? Where is our no? What are we going to stand for, stand against, and just being clear about how are we going to be stewards of the energy that we have. And so, I'm here with like a little short video, but, Nurtured Heart is it's not the quick fix, really. It's kind of about the long game, but it's so worth building that foundation so that we can protect our energy and be very intentional about what we give our relationship to, what we get in relationship with our energy. So there's a lot more to it. Nurtured Heart trainings can be up to like 6 weeks long and I've got like a half hour. But in terms of romantic relationships, I guess what I want to focus on today is the idea of baby steps, that even baby steps move us forward, and that, when we're watching a baby learn to walk, we're just like wrapped with, oh my gosh, look at you go, yay. And even when they just put their head up, any little movement toward walking, excuse me, we're not watching them going like, why aren't you running? Like, come on, come here. We don't do that. That would be ridiculous. But so often with parenting, but also with our expectations of our partner, we're expecting like perfection or some super specific endpoint, and we miss a lot of the steps to that point. And so we're accidentally kind of, squashing the seedlings while instead kind of watering the weeds of like, sighs, eye rolls, anything that like is expressing our discomfort with or our displeasure with the falling short. Not to say, don't express your needs. That's not what I'm saying. But what I have found is that sometimes nurtured heart is easiest to do with kids you don't know well. It's easiest to see like all the good stuff. And it's hardest to do with adults and with people we live with or the people we're very close to, because we know the whole story. We have, our windshield is like dirty with all of the gunk of everyday being human, and it's easier to become biased or to miss things that normally would be worth celebrating. So the thing I want to share today in terms of an exercise, and I wish I could just sit here for like all day and talk about this approach because I love it, but I'm going to talk about the purple dot. There is, in the trainings, we have a slide that we get to in the PowerPoint that looks pretty much like this. And we say, so what do you see? And people will look at it and say, a purple dot, right? See a purple dot. There it is. And so then the participants are invited to think about, okay, so what is actually there? There's the purple dot, right? Yes. But there's also all this white space. And we think of that as like not even there. But if we're just focusing on the dot, we're going to miss a whole bunch of other stuff around it. And so, metaphorically, the purple dot is the mess up or the behavior we don't like. And the white space is all the stuff that's going well or that, is easy to take for granted, the stuff that is not going as wrong as it could. And so for intense kids, they go through their whole day with everyone seeing their dot. Their parents, therapists, teachers, it's very easy to just see the dot. And, individually we think we're helping them out or, that we're the only ones noticing it. And it's like, it accumulates when you have all kinds of people just seeing you for your purple dot. It can be hard. So I wanted to play around with that slide. This idea came to me recently, and I was thinking about how can I bring that thinking into our family life as we cope with this quarantine. And so I happen to have a laminator. You don't need a laminator. Someone sent it to me. I still don't know who. Anyway, it was a good gift. But I laminated this and I wrote with a Sharpie, I drew a purple dot. And I just set it on our dining room table with a dry erase marker. And I just started writing down things on it that I noticed. And it's not like big, long, schmaltzy, flowery letters. It's just things I noticed that I wanted to make a note of instead of just letting it slide by out of my awareness. And to have that accumulate in the white space to kind of overpower the dot. So my thinking being, if we put enough things on here, we're not even going to see the dot. We're just going to see all this good stuff throughout the day that we want to acknowledge in ourselves and each other. And so I explained it to my husband, and he seemed on board. And so we have been trying it for a while, for a little bit now this week. And I just love it. I love walking by it and seeing that my husband's added to it. Our son, even, he's 6, he has written a little bit on there. And so I'll show you, this is what it looks like by the end of a typical day. So things like laughing together in the morning, we had a pillow fight. It sounds idyllic. It's not every day it's like that. I made the bed. We had some FaceTime calls with family. My son added that he didn't throw a fit when he was sad. And also my son wrote that he rubbed his dad's back in the morning. And he wrote it himself with his little, however he thought that was spelled. And it, my husband kept talking about that item, that our son noticed that and wanted to write it down and worked so hard to write it down that he wanted to remember that. So that is kind of our new practice. And, it's can be for any number of people, whoever is living with you right now. Everybody can add to it. I take a picture of it at the end of the day, and then I wipe it clean, and then we add to it the next day or the next, every couple of days. And I just love it because it's so rebalancing. There's so much about this weird time that is so weird with time. Time is weird right now. And every day kind of feels like a different version of the last. And so this is a way to kind of get concrete with certain things that helps make every day feel unique and feel like we brought awareness to every day, or a different facet of it, or we just saw each other throughout the day. And it's been so powerful. And I'll update in the group as we use it, and if there's any tweaks. But you could just write it on a piece of paper, like make a dot, fill the white space around it so you don't see the dot anymore, and then get another piece of paper. It doesn't have to be dry erase. But I just, keeping it in a place where you can see it well, anybody can add to it. And it doesn't have to have any particular kind of language. If you want, part of Nurtured Heart is identifying, part of Stand 2, part of that, really celebrating and amplifying the good stuff. We teach different techniques for doing that and different recognition styles. And, so it could be just so-and-so unloaded the dishwasher. I made the bed. I laughed with my friend, blah, blah, blah. Or it could also, you could add in what that says about them. I made time to be playful. I took care of myself. I handled some grief. I felt today. I felt my feelings, or I saw my partner feeling their feelings. Any little molecule, we in our trainings, we talk about how it's so easy to kind of make a mountain out of a molehill. And this is about taking little molecules and growing them into miracles. Things that you would not think to notice or to celebrate. A lot of times with couples, there's this feeling of why should I be all yay you for doing something that's just your job in the house, that you're just expected to do. That's reasonable. We don't want to, infantilize anyone. And a lot of times there's equity issues in terms of distribution of household tasks and things like that. And everything is getting all shaken up right now with the pandemic. So it might certainly feel really imbalanced or really weird to kind of point out something that's so like, it's just what we do, but that's still you making the choice to do it. That's still that person making the choice to do it. How not great would it be if they just were like, no, I know it's my job, but no, I'm not going to do that. And, you know, I, along with a lot of other people, you know, I've got like some good days and then some days where I'm depressed or deep in grief or whatever, reeling from whatever changes are going on or from the news or what have you. And so getting into that moment of appreciation for any little bit that we can do. You know, this doesn't have to be the time of like total reinvention and revamping and like it's a new me. It's like if you got up, if you opened your eyes today, you know, that like start there, like get super granular. Can you breathe? Because this is a time of really, a lot of people can't right now, you know? So I invite you to try to step into that appreciating everything, any little bit, and it will get easier. It will feel less weird. And I don't know, like I get that feeling of like, why should I praise someone or thank them for doing what they are just supposed to do? But like, I want that. I want to be appreciated for all the little things I do. And so sometimes if we want to see a change, we have to kind of start it and see what happens. It takes some faith. Using being nurtured heart, incorporating this with a partner can be scary because, you know, we have a history. They know it. If we're trying to do a different thing, just in terms of family systems, if one member of the family starts acting really different or outside their kind of role, a lot of times that's difficult, or that, you know, people don't take super easily to that. It can get some challenges. But nurtured heart isn't really about like, I'm going to give this recognition to this person and then they're going to respond like this and then I'm going to feel so good. It's about like, what are we noticing? What do we appreciate about that? What does that say about that person? And what is the specific evidence that we can just provide that can show them that they have shown that quality, even in a little bit, even to a tiny degree. Maybe, you know, you're having an argument and instead of screaming in your face this time, they stopped mid-sentence and went and took some time to collect themselves. And then what qualities that show? You know, I see respect in that. A lot of, you know, people have different ideas about what respect looks like. But if we can kind of get flexible with our lens and try seeing the steps toward what we're wanting in our lives, it really kind of grows from there and snowballs from there. And, you know, don't get discouraged if you get weird looks or you get pushback, or you get resistance, because that is a signal that you're doing something different and that you're being heard. And, you know, it can really, really shift things a little bit at a time. I hope this was helpful for you. I would love to work with anyone who wants more information. I do coaching and training. I was going to be local, but now it's all online. I'm figuring that out along with everybody else. My website is reachyourheartout.com. I am at facebook.com/reachyourheartout. You can reach me email me at Leah, so Leah, at reachyourheartout.com. And please reach out. Please reach your heart out. I would love to talk more. And I have, the capacity to do trainings in different time increments, and we would tailor something to what you need. Thank you so much for your time and for showing up and being here and for listening and doing something for yourself and for your partnership. And I wish you well. Thank you so much.